a constant revolution of contradicting scientific theories and the emergence of new phenomena startling even the most brilliant men in history. And yet, no existence of anything as incredibly fascinating and mind-blowing as the human brain. With only a weight of about 1400 grams, the human brain has been responsible for every action and ability mankind has ever attained, ranging from the smallest actions such as mitosis of the cell to more complex actions such as successfully landing on the moon. The ability for us humans to feel the slightest sensation and to produce a response is due to the existence of our nervous system. What is the nervous system? The nervous system is a complex network of nerve cells and fibers that carry and transmit messages to and from the brain and the spinal cord to various parts of the body. The nervous system includes both the central nervous system, CNS, and the peripheral nervous system, PNS.
What is the central nervous system? The central nervous system consists of the brain and the spinal cord, and it processes the information that is sent by the nerves. The central nervous system is the processing center where it receives and sends information to the peripheral nervous system. The central nervous system controls thought processes, guides movement, and registers sensation throughout the body.
What is the peripheral nervous system? The peripheral nervous system provides the connection between internal or external stimuli, and the central nervous system allows the body to respond to its environment. The PNS can be broken down into two systems, the autonomic and the somatic system. The somatic system is responsible for voluntary actions such as eating and jumping. The autonomic system can be divided into two parts, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. The autonomic system is responsible for its involuntary actions. Sympathetic system prepares the body for stressful or emergency situation, and the parasympathetic system controls body processes during ordinary situations. Functions of the sympathetic system includes acceleration of the heart rate, pupil dilation, widening of the bronchiole, and raised blood pressures. Functions of the parasympathetic system includes sexual arousal, salivation, digestion, and urination.
Components of the nervous system. The nervous system is made up of three main components, which is the brain, the spinal cord, and the nerve fibers. The brain is a four-hemisphere organ that is the command center of the nervous system. It can be seen as the CPU of the nervous system. The four hemisphere includes the frontal lobe, the temporal lobe, the parietal lobe, and the occipital lobe. The frontal lobe is responsible for visual and verbal memory. The temporal lobe is responsible for movement, self-regulation of behavior, attention, and working memory. The parietal lobe is responsible for language comprehension, sensory perception, left and right differentiation. And lastly, the occipital lobe is responsible for visual recognition, visual attention, and spatial analysis.
Hi, I am Yuvan, and I'll be explaining more about the brain. So how does the brain take part in the nervous system? The brain sends messages to the peripheral nerves through the spinal cord. Messages sent by the brain to the peripheral nerves are used to control our muscles and internal organs that act as a response to a particular stimuli. From talking about your day to typing out boring assignments, our brain controls all voluntary actions.
The spinal cord is a long, fragile tube-like structure that begins from the end of the brainstem and continues down almost to the bottom of the spine. The spinal cord is covered by three layers of tissue called meninges. The spinal cord and meninges are contained in the spinal canal, which runs through the center of the spine. Like the brain and spinal cord, is made up of gray matter and the white matter.
Hey guys, it's Hikaru here and I'll be explaining more about the spinal cord. The spinal cord is made up of 32 segments and it is protected by the vertebrae. The spinal cord is made up of three parts: the central cavity, which contains the cerebrospinal fluid, the white matter, which contains myelinated nerve cells, and the grey matter, which contains the unmyelinated nerve cells. The spinal cord is the center for reflex actions, and it provides a pathway for communication between the brain and the peripheral nerves. So, how does the reflex action work? First, the receptors quickly send nerve impulses to the spinal cord via the sensory neurons. In the spinal cord, the impulse moves from the sensory neurons to the relay neurons. And finally, the impulse is sent to the motor neurons that project out of the spinal cord to stimulate your muscles that acts as a response. An example of a reflex action is a knee jerk. It is amazing how our spinal cord is responsible for all of these actions.
There are three main nerves that play a role in the nervous system: the sensory neuron, the motor neuron, and the relay neuron. The sensory neuron carries signals from the receptors to the spinal cord and the brain. The relay neuron carries messages from one part of the central nervous system to another. The motor neuron carries signals from the central nervous system to the effector.
Hey guys, I'm Jeff, and I'll be explaining more about the nerves. The other name for nerve cells are neurons, and as mentioned before, there are three types of neurons, which are the sensory neuron, the relay neuron, and the motor neuron. Now let's talk about the structure of a neuron. A neuron consists of three basic parts: the cell body, which consists of the nucleus and the cytoplasm, the dendrites, which are finger-like projections of cytoplasm, which receives information, and finally, the axon that transmit impulses away from the body.
Some neurons may contain the following additional parts: the myelin sheet and the Schwann cell. The myelin sheet is a white fatty covering that insulates the axon. Impulses travel at a greater speed when the axon is insulated. Schwann cells is a special type of glial cell that produces the myelin sheet. Our nerves are responsible for every sensation. Without our nerves, we would practically be motionless mannequins. It enables us to feel and respond to everything. So let's all love and appreciate our nerves, as it is a key for our ability to live.
The nervous system allows us to perceive, comprehend, and respond to the world around us. The nervous system also operates the body's essential functions, such as breathing and digestion. However, all the privileges that come with the nervous system can be taken away in a blink of an eye, as the nervous system is very delicate and can easily be damaged. When the nervous system is damaged, the ability for us to perform even the simplest task becomes a challenge. The biggest issue with any sort of damage to the nervous system is that there are no cures. So once the nervous system is damaged, we lose our ability to control many parts of our body. The damages that are related to the nervous system include acquired brain injury, traumatic brain injury, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and spinal cord injury. It doesn't matter who you are or how physically strong and healthy one is. These damages can occur to anyone, even if you're the greatest boxer in the world.
I'm gonna float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. George can't hit what his hands can't see. Now you see me, now you don't.
We cannot escape from these damages that take away our ability to feel, respond, and live normally.
Parkinson's is a chronic and progressive movement disorder. This means that the disease will worsen over time. Parkinson's disease involves the failure of the neurons in the substantial nigra of the brain to produce dopamine. Dopamine is essential because it is the chemical that sends messages to the part of the brain that controls movement and coordination. People living with Parkinson's will suffer from tremors of the hands, legs, jaw, and face, slowness in movement, impaired balance and coordination, and stiffness of joints and limbs. Till today, the cause of Parkinson's disease is still unknown. Scientists believe that it is a combination between environmental and genetic factors that vary from person to person.
Researchers did find that there's a specific mutation in the gene that can increase the chance of one getting Parkinson's disease. They did so confirm that Parkinson's disease is not directly inherited, but the chances of one getting the disease increases if one of their close relatives is suffering from the disease. Environmental factors include exposure to toxic materials and heavy metals such as manganese that can increase the chance of one getting the disease. Till today, there are no cures for Parkinson's disease, but there are many medications and surgeries to help manage the symptoms.
Alzheimer's is the progressive mental disintegration that can occur in middle or old ages, meaning that gradually, over time, more parts of the brain gets damaged. This is due to the generalized degeneration of the brain, and some symptoms of Alzheimer's may include memory loss and difficulties with thinking, problem solving, and speech. The brain has over 100 billion nerve cells, and each of these nerve cells connect together to form a communication network. This group of nerve cells have a special job which involves thinking, remembering, and learning. During the course of the disease, protein builds up in the brain and forms structures called tangles. This will lead to the loss of communication between the nerve cells, and that will eventually lead to the death of the nerve cells and the loss of brain tissue. People with Alzheimer's have a shortage of chemicals in the brain that are necessary for the communication between nerve cells. These chemicals are acetylcholine and serotonin, and due to the shortage of these chemicals, signals sent by the nerve cells are not effective. Scientists believe that Alzheimer's prevents parts of the brain from working well. So as the damage spreads, cells lose their ability to do their job and will eventually die, causing irreversible changes in the brain. There are currently no cures for Alzheimer's, but there's a lot that can be done to help someone with Alzheimer. Current treatment can help boost the chemical levels in the brain to help with some of the symptoms. There are also some drugs available to slow down the progression of the disease.
Your life changes tremendously when you suffer from a spinal cord injury. What seemed easy and normal yesterday can be a complete challenge tomorrow. Many people lose the ability to move the lower half of their body when they suffer from a spinal cord injury, and so they can't perform simple tasks like walking or even wiggling your toes.
Unfortunately, the damage done to the spinal cord can't be reversed, but researchers are always working on new treatment which include prostheses and medication that help with nerve cell regeneration. To summarize it all up, your nervous system is the most important system of the entire body, as it controls and coordinates every other cell, tissue, muscle, gland, organ and system, keeping everything in balance.
The three components of the nervous system, the brain, the spinal cord and the nerve cells, work hand in hand, allowing us to perform our day-to-day activity.
But due to the fact that the nervous system can be damaged so easily, we mustn't take it for granted. So treasure it while it's still there. Your body is like a symphony with every part working in concert with one another. Lose the conductive leadership of your nervous system and it's all just a bunch of noise.
Ultimately, the nervous system is a system that makes you, you.